what we have for you now is a 1v1 on a water map. We're going to be looking at a game between MasterBel and tehN0by. Now, I can't say I have the best familiarity with water balance, and it's a really difficult thing because even more so than land units, sea units have the propensity to, like, the orientation of a single unit versus the enemy unit depends its damage per second, because like a few of them have like multiple guns, which the back guns can't shoot through the front guns, and so positioning is really important. But what we'll see this game is more of a usage of this map in general than a specific detail about micro or something. And I'm going to start on this forward island while tehN0by will start back. It looks like tehN0by had a slow start, but the reason I start on this island, even though it's like anything on this island can be shot from a ship, it's close to this rock, closer to the mid with the rocks there, where it's about 300 metal in the middle there, and then it's also closer to the enemy. So I considered starting here on the beach and like going mechs, a line of wind generators, and then a K-bot lab, and then I'd get out a K-bot constructor, and then I'd reclaim it and go for a sea lab. But I was concerned that that might just take too much time, so I just went for this sea lab. And the idea here is get out a constructor as soon as possible that can go and reclaim or something. Yeah. What it's looking like now is I did need more energy, and this island doesn't really provide enough space to space it out, so it's likely everything on that island is just going to chain if anything gets close, and the chances that something gets close are fairly high. It's pretty low to the water too, which doesn't allow you any grace on potentially maybe the units can't shoot. Yeah, they definitely can shoot. And in theory, keeping this constructor here allows me to assist the lab, but what we'll really find is that I spend so much on energy that I can't really afford that. But the other thing we'll see is, like, I'm really protective of this. I see these scouts coming in, and I walk my commander over there so that he doesn't go for the island and get that. What this scouting has meant, and the fact that he let me kill that instead of like pulling out, is that that's a metal donation and an army advantage for me, and I took very little damage on that. Yeah, so like that's 165 metal versus 100 metal, and this has 41 damage per second, and this has 67 damage per second. So that's actually no, this has 135 damage per second, and that has 82 because they've each got 2 weapons. And so winning those are early battles, and then I go to scout, and because I can scout, what I do is take out the units. The problem with taking out those units there is that that just goes into metal that he can reclaim. So I'm a little unsure of whether I should have taken out those units, because hypothetically taking out those units means that he can't get off as much damage on me as I can on him. So what I probably should have done is I probably should have just ran through once and once only, targeted the wind generators, and then got back out as soon as possible. But knowing that I've taken out all his units, I've taken the advantage of the moment to put this constructor up here and just close off as much of the map as possible. Problem with doing that is that it skipped building, say, a couple metal extractors, which would have given me increased production, so a little iffy on that. But what I've also done is I don't have anything back assisting the factory, because the factory has quite a fair bit of build power. plus the build time on these units is fairly low. Yeah. There's a bit of a problem here with these units. If Nobi was aware that I had all these units here, he could very much just attack for my base. So what I probably should have done is, instead of sending this constructor up and around there to build the depth charge launcher, if I could have put the depth charge launcher right up here, then that means that if I have units here, for example, to defend the depth charge launcher and close that off, then if he goes all the way around, then I can go to his base way before he can get to my base, which means I'd trade better. So it pins him at his base. Secondly, it gives me full motion to either side in a reasonable amount of time. So that would have been better. But what happens is I pull these units back. I probably spent far too long without having built a constructor there, because we see how much I've got. Also, what I've done is I've engaged there with like only 3 of my ships, which means I lose 2 and take out 2 much weaker ships, which is a very poor trade. The other thing that's a very poor line to draw. That's a better line to draw, which is more perpendicular. Again, I'm sending in like a fraction of my units to shoot at once, which isn't really great. This commander took a really long time to get over there. If it could be out there shooting too, then. I do have a huge resource production advantage though, because I killed Nobi's only constructor that got out. So even if I lose a lot of stuff here, it's fine, because I can really rebuild. Nobi has basically no production. What I said about reclaiming earlier, that constructor over there should have come out here and reclaim. If it did come out there and reclaim, then he could have potentially built a lot more. But that's, yeah, game over. He called it with that. Yeah, but since that depth charge was only defending those 2 metal extractors, really should have built the depth charge up there and built those 2 metal extractors. And I need to be careful with this constructor, because it's reclaiming the trees instead of reclaiming all this metal. So you need to keep that in mind. Anyway, GG.